Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard list review. So I thought, after announcing that I'm going to be doing list reviews, I figured I should do a bit of a run of them, get the ball rolling. I have had absolutely loads in. I think I've had 10 or so in. I may try and do a video on all of them, but if I start getting absolutely inundated, because if I do 10, that's going to take me and release, 2 or 3 a week. It's still going to take me 3 weeks to get through those ones I've just received. So I may do a video on them all, or I may just do a video on the more interesting ones, or the ones that have the best options in, and that will give you guys ideas for lists anyway. So an example would be if someone sends me in a pure infantry list and then 2 other people send me in pure infantry lists, I'm not going to review all 3. I will review one, and the one which I think will be the most interesting, and then I will give feedback. And if you've sent in a pure infantry list, listen up to what I say in that video. You will be able to take away some general things. If I have time, I will try and send comments back, to, even just a few lines to every list review, but that may or may not be possible. If I end up getting hundreds of these things, probably won't, but if I end up getting hundreds of these things, then obviously I won't be able to do a video on every single one, and I won't be able to put comments on every single one. But I will try my absolute hardest, and if I don't get back to you within a few weeks, send it me again. That's fine. And if I still don't get back to you, then just assume that I've done a video similar to it. Okay? Anyway, today we have an interesting one. We have a Militarum Tempestus list. Now it's kind of cookie cutter and stuff, but there are some room for improvements in it, and it is a good example of a Militarum Tempestus list with a few tweaks. There are a few bits here and there which I'm not so sure on, but overall it's okay. So this was sent in to me by Black Wolf 30014, so thank you for sending that in. And it's just want to say it's quite a clear list. I like it. All the upgrades are very clearly laid out, and I understand this list. So it is, I believe, a 1500 point list, or 77 power level. It's 1499 points. And let's dive straight into it. So it is a single battalion detachment. Interesting. 1500 points for a single battalion. I personally, at 1500 points, like to run 2 or 3 detachments to maximise the amount of command points that I can run. So that's the first interesting thing I should say. HQ, 3 Tempesta Primes. 1 with a power sword and command rod, 1 with a chain sword and command rod, and 1 with a power maul and command rod. Okay. First off, I don't really see the point in you giving upgrades to your Tempesta Primes. They are there for orders. That's all they're there for. If they get into close combat, the chain sword is all they're going to need, because they're probably not going to do much else. I mean, it's only 8 points, but it's an important 8 points. I think it will add up, is all I'm going to say. So I don't really understand why you put power weapons on them. If it's rule of cool, then that's fine. If not, I would ditch them for chainswords on every one of them. Okay. Then you've got a Tempesta Scion squad, 7 Scions with hotshot lasguns, 2 Scions with flamers, a Scion with a Voxcaster, and a Tempesta Prime with a bolt pistol. Okay, first off, what do I like about this? 1, Tempesta Prime's got a bolt pistol. I still think the bolt pistol is the way to go, guys. I still think it is. Purely because you're guaranteed that shot. You'll get, most of the time, Scion squads are going to deep strike in and then die. Simple as that. They're going to deep strike in and just get taken off the table. Having a bolt pistol means that there's a chance, albeit a small one, but a chance that you'll be able to do some damage with your Tempesta Prime. If you were within 6-inch range and you had a choice about using your pistol, my question would be, are you going to use the pistol with the Tempesta Prime, or is he going to throw a crack grenade? Because crack grenades from Tempesta Primes are pretty good, and I always used to, back in the day, throw the crack grenade if I could. Things I'm not sure on. Flamers. I'm not sure on Flamers. And the fact you've only taken 2 in a 10-man squad. Or was it a 9-man squad? I think it's a 9-man squad. Yeah, I just don't like it. Honestly, Flamers, if you're planning on deep striking them in, are not a good idea. Because they're going to, like I said, they're going to die before they get a chance to use them. Hotshot lasguns are actually better than Flamers. Because you deep strike in your Flamers, okay, you get D6 shots. D6 hits, I should say. It's a good chance that you're going to get about 7 hits with those 2 Flamers. Okay, not too bad. Or, you deep strike in, and if possible, you might be in rapid fire range. You know, if you have a few survive, you might be in rapid fire range. You might not. But you could do first rank fire, second rank fire, and that's between 4 to 8 shots with those hotshot lasguns. That's pretty good. I'd rather have 4 to 8 hotshot lasgun shots. Because put it this way, this is the argument. If the flamers drop in and they all die, then you haven't got anything back. But if they had hotshot lasguns and they dropped in, then they get 4 shots with first rank fire, second rank fire. If the flamers drop in, then get to move and then survive a turn and then get to attack, then you get your 7 hits on average. But your lasguns would be doing, if they survive, would be doing 8 shots, which would be in total 12 hotshot lasgun shots to 7 flamer hits. I know I'd rather have the hotshot lasguns. My opinion, flamers on Scions are kind of dead. The only reason I am taking them is to pop them in a Taurox Prime, and then if the enemy gets close, I can jump out and have a sacrificial squad with some flamers there, and also because I used to love my drop flamer squads, and it's a bit of a shame not to use them anymore. If this squad's going in the Taurox Prime, my recommendation is make it a 5-man squad. It is better to put 2 5-man squads in a Taurox Prime, or a 5-man squad and a command squad and a Tempesta Prime in a Taurox Prime. Do not make them a 9-man squad. It's a waste of time. Voxcaster, drop it. Trust me, your Scions, you won't have enough units to have to worry about reaching far distances with your Voxcasters. Just drop it. And again, because you have to take the hotshot las pistol in the Voxcaster, I think the FAQ might have changed this. But because of that, it's just not a good idea. The las pistol means you're not getting to shoot with him. You won't be using the Voxcaster. It's all a waste of points. Drop that radio, give that man a rifle, and get him shooting. That's my recommendation. So second squad, you've got 4 Scions with 4 Scions with lasguns, 2 with melter guns, and then a Voxcaster and a bolt pistol and power sword. Again, I like I like melter guns. I mean, I prefer plasma guns, but I like melter guns. But again, bit of a random number. That's 4, 7, 8-man squad. What's with the 8-man squad? Take a 5-man squad. Just take a 5-man squad and give them 2 melters. Why are you taking the extra guys? Voxcasters, again, forget about it. Just give that guy a rifle. That's all I can recommend. Power sword on the Tempesta, I wouldn't bother. He's not going to kill anything in combat. And anything that gets into close combat with 6 or 7 Scions is just going to munch them anyway. So I wouldn't worry about that. Next squad, 6 Scions. Plus 2 Scions with melter guns. Plus a Vox, plus a Tempesta with a bolt pistol and a power fist. Wow, power fist? Interesting. Okay, recommendation here, because you seem to have some random power weapons. My guess is you've already built these models and you're kind of being forced to use them. Okay, I can dig that. But, again, drop the excess Scions. You've got a 10-man Scion squad there, but you're only taking 2 special weapons. Just drop them. Trust me. Just get rid of them. And say, when I'm saying drop them, I mean drop them from that squad and take all these spare Scions and put them into their own 5-man squads and just give them lasguns or hotshot lasguns. You will find that jumping out of a Taurox with a bunch of hotshot lasguns and hosing something down, first rank fire, second rank fire, or dropping in with 5 to 10-man Scion squads and just first rank fire and second rank fire things will do a lot of damage. You'll be surprised at how good your hotshot lasguns are these days. They're no longer ablative wounds, they're almost their own special weapon. Okay? So, the power fist, just make that Tempesta, if you really want to, make that Tempesta a Tempesta Prime, because then he's actually getting use out of the power fist. Makes a lot more sense. Although I can see the argument for, well, He's got a power fist. He's in a melter squad. He wants to punch tanks. I can kind of see that. It's best to put power fists on models that are going to actually hit with them, like Tempesta Primes. Because remember that -1 to hit. Another squad. So this is our 4th Tempesta squad now. 5 Scions, hotshot las guns. 2 with plasma guns. 1 with hotshot volley gun. Hotshot las pistol, voxcaster, and bolt pistol and chainsword. Okay, again, drop the voxcaster. Just drop it. You don't need it. Again, bit of a random one, having the plasma guns and the volley guns. They don't really meet. They don't really match up. I would, again, make this a smaller squad. And just put the hotshot volley gun squad in one of these Tempesta lasgun squads that we're talking about. Tempestus lasgun squads. Then you have a command squad with 4 plasma guns, and then you have a command squad with 4 hotshot volley guns, and that's it. So you could be taking 3 command squads, but you're only taking 2 for some reason. And then you have randomly some armoured sentinels. 3 armoured sentinels, 1 with a las cannon, 1 with an autocannon, 1 with a multi-laser, and 1 randomly with a hunter killer missile. Not a big fan of these. Don't really see where what the point of them is. They're not provide. 1 las cannon isn't going to make a difference. 1 autocannon isn't going to make a difference. 1 multi-laser isn't going to make a difference. If you go, my advice with sentinels has always been, if you go sentinels, you double down on them. Don't take 3 sentinels; they never do anything. Take 6. I've always, back in 7th, I used to say, if you had every heavy weapon team you were taking, take an armor sentinel instead. They'll do the job better. Not so sure about that anymore. In 8th, but I don't like those armor sentinels. I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't bother with them. Valkyries. You have a Valkyrie with multiple rocket pod, multi-laser, 2 heavy bolters. Okay, like it. And then you have a Valkyrie with Hellstrike missiles, multi-laser, 2 heavy bolters. You've got 2 heavy bolters twice. I don't think they can take 4 heavy bolters. I might be wrong. They're actually fine. I am fine with those Valkyries. No complaints. You've got some anti-infantry in there, and you've got some anti-tank in there. Those are absolutely fine. Just remember that if they're not in hover mode, those Valkyries will be hitting on 5s when they move. Tell me if I'm wrong about that, but I believe they will be hitting on 5s. 2 transports, 2 Torx primes, 1 with Gatling cannon and 2 autocannons, 1 with Gatling cannon and 2 hotshot volley guns. They're both fine. I mean, I prefer the hotshot volley gun massively on my Torx prime, but if you've already built it with autocannons, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's not a huge loss. So, to sum this up, get rid of those voxcasters. Get rid of them. Take many more smaller squads. So how many sounds have you got here in total? You've got 7. You've got 10 in the first squad. And then you've got 8 in the second squad. And you've got 10 in the third squad. And then you've got 10 in the final squad. So you've obviously got about 40 Scions, roughly 40 Scions. Take them all as 5-man squads. Have many of them just equipped with las guns, because Tempesta Prime las guns can legitimately threaten anything. You shoot a Land Raider with a squad of Tempestas, a 5-man squad of Tempestas. Maybe not a Land Raider, but we'll use it as an example anyway. You shoot a Land Raider, that is 20 shots with just 5 guys. Hit on 3s. You're only going to get a few 6s. You're only going to get a few. 20 shots, roughly what? Hitting on 3s. What about 12 hits, 12 to 14 hits, 2 or 3 wounds? It's not too bad to be able to take off 1 to 2 wounds from a Land Raider with a 50-point squad. It's not too bad at all. The reason I recommend more drops is because I feel here that you're trying to sandwich yourself into taking as few drops as possible. Let me tell you something from a competitive standpoint, and this is from a lot of competitive players in my area. If you can't get fewer than 5 drops, then go for as many drops as possible. because most competitive lists that aim to go first will have fewer than 5 drops. This list has more than 5 drops. You've got 4 alone in your vehicles, plus your sentinels. That's 5. I don't think you can quite smash everyone into a vehicle. So you've probably got 6 or 7 drops here. Fuck that. If you've got 6 or 7, go up to 15 or 20. Honestly, you might as well take advantage of that. One other reason you want to do this is you can play mind games on your opponent. I've seen this done to great effect. I wasn't playing in the game, but I was seeing the game taking place, and I kind of have done it a little bit myself with my Saiyans, but not to this extent. I was in a tournament. I saw a guy take about 18 drops of Saiyans, or something stupid. It was either 8 or 18. I can't remember. But every opponent he went against had 5 or 6 drops. Some had about 7 or 8. At the beginning of every game, he went, okay, I'm just going to, before we do this deployment thing where I go, you go, I'm just going to tell you now, I'm putting all 8 of these units into reserve. 8, I think we'll say about 10 for average. I'm putting 10 units into reserve. And his opponent was like, okay. So then he would say, deploy your whole army. It was a massive, massive advantage because his opponent had to deploy everything, not knowing where the Saiyans were going to be turning up, basically. That was it. It was 8 units. It was not 18, it was 8 units because it was a bunch of conscripts backed up by Saiyans, and he had 8 units, and it was before Saiyan command squads got nerfed. He had 8 Saiyan command squads. It was early 8th edition. But the principle still stands because you can do this with normal Saiyans as well. So that's my recommendation. Take lots and lots of small squads, play mind games with your opponent, get more Tempesta Primes, and take more detachments. If you split your 4 squads down into 8 squads, that would allow you to take another detachment, at least another. If you dropped your sentinels and maybe took some more Saiyans on top of that, you could probably get. I mean, I would drop the sentinels and take, that's 175 points, take another Taurox Prime and another squad of Saiyans, and then split your Saiyan squads that you've got now down into 8 squads. That would mean you'd have 9 squads in total. Then you could have 6 Tempesta Primes. Easily you could find this from all the Vox casters and other random shit you've dropped. Get yourself 6 Tempesta Primes, boom, 3 detachments. 3 attachments, 6. You don't really take 6. What must I say? Oh, you do take 6. 6 Tempesta Primes, 6 Tempesta Primes, 9 Saiyan squads, as many command squads and Taurox Primes and Valkyries as you can fit. Boom. That is now 12 command points and a lot more tactical flexibility. A lot more. You could bring them all in one go. Because think about it, you have to have as many on the ground as you have in reserve. Well, then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the ground. That means you can put loads. You can put your command squads and some Tempesta Primes up in the air and deploy the rest on the ground. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I could easily see you having 6 or 7 units on the ground. That Tempesta command squad with the hotshot volleys, put them on the ground in some cover. Boom. That's another drop. It's easy for you to manipulate the drop. So my final bit of advice, if you haven't really listened to this, if you don't really agree with what I've said, my final bit of advice that you should take to heart is play the drops game. Play the number of units game. Use that to fuck with your opponent and use that to give yourself a tactical advantage. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this list review. Hope you guys, that message is to everyone. The reason I chose this list is to talk about playing the drops game. I'll be doing another video on this, talking about Imperial Guard going second, but this is sort of a precursor to that video that someone requested. So play the drops game. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope you found it informative, and I'll see you guys next time.